There it is. Oh, there it is. Come on, bitch.
That's not nice.
All right. It's good. It's good. Okay. It's good.
You doing little James Brown, are you? You should see. Have you seen the Chadwick Boseman James Brown movie on Netflix? You should watch that. I think you would enjoy that.
I don't think so.
It's good.
That's a little too close to me.
They break down the fourth wall. They do a little wink thing in the camera where he's like, hey, you know, that sort of thing. It's pretty good.
Yeah. What good did it do him? Yeah.
In your face.
Don't have a snappy answer to stupid question, do we?
Yeah. How's that taste, cancer? I don't know. I don't know what we're...
All right. Ready?
Ready.
Hey, it's a very special Friday edition of the Brad and Britt cast because I've been in and out the last 2 weeks. The reason we've had days off is it's on me. I accept full responsibility for this because of traveling for family business, business. But I'm back. But just two travel stories.
Please.
Number one, Thursday in LaGuardia Airport in New York, and they've they're in their seventh decade of fixing it up. Okay, and this is before any extra money may come from it, but they finally got a lot of it fixed up, and so they have these corridors that are 6 miles long to get from. It's ridiculous, but because of that, I put my wife, I said, we must be on extreme celebrity alert status because we're going to be passing a lot of people, and it is New York, and we struck out the week before in Los Angeles. We saw no one. And so on the way to the plane on Thursday, I see a guy. He's fully masked, but I'm 99% sure because that hairdo and the glasses that he's wearing and the sharp suit that he's wearing, that it's Jonathan Karl of ABC News, their Washington bureau chief, who's written several books about Donald Trump. I mean, I think he is like the last guy to actually interview him, a normal journalist, right?
Yeah.
And he's written what was it, last week? And he's the one that broke all the news that Trump was not only just cool with Pence being, he understood exactly why the people were.
It's fine.
All right, so I recognize him, and you don't want to say something to someone if that's not the person, okay?
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure it was. And we're walking pretty quickly, and he's not going to stop to talk to me. So, I've got one shot at this. So I said loudly, Jonathan Karl, thank you for the great work that you were doing. And you know how you can tell if someone's smiling through a mask?
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't smiling. No, he smiled right through the mask.
Hey, thank you, Mr. David. I love the new season of Curb. It's so funny.
Thank you very much. And he kept walking, and it was just a nice moment. And
you didn't want to try the more subtle. You didn't want to do that. You didn't want to do that. It's
there was no way. No,
you see if he turns his head, or
you had to be heard. You had to be explicit about it, and I did. So there you go. That's as good as I got on the celebrity thing in New York. Now, after we returned to North Carolina on Thursday night, we got in our car and we're driving west out of Raleigh on Interstate 40. And there's a rotating electronic billboard. I don't know if you've seen it. And you got to pay close attention. You got to look up fast because, the ones that change really fast. You ready? The first thing that we saw was "Let's Go Brandon."
Oh, that's funny. That's hilarious.
Wait.
But there's more.
Then it changes to an advertisement for an AR-15 for $499 and the name of a gun dealer.
That's a win.
Now, I'm not saying that means anything. Of course, it means nothing. No. And of course, I'm overreacting.
It doesn't mean that someone wants to murder Joe Biden or they should murder Joe Biden. Is that what you're saying?
No, and it doesn't mean if they were thinking about being violent against the president that a weapon of choice just might be the classic weapon of all mass shooters, the AR-15. But it was clearly that gun. I recognize them now.
Yeah,
it was being advertised.
Do you remember what brought the AR-15 to prominence? Because it was the AK was the standard for many years. Do you remember what brought the
Columbine?
I believe I think it was Newtown. I believe it was Newtown is when that guy went around and murdered those children, and people were very upset at us for interrupting the Rush Limbaugh show on WBT and having updates of children that were killed.
By the way, rightfully so.
Yeah, they were somebody. I think one of the emails, because these people couldn't do anything else but email. They just figured out that technology. We're like, hey, Rush already explained this. We don't. It's fine. It's good. We don't really. It's fine.
Right.
So, I think that was where we saw the great groundswell from switching from the AK to the AR-15, because so many people went, that is such a cool weapon. You can really kill a lot of 6-year-olds.
But they're
fantastic,
similar, aren't they?
They're very similar. But as our friend who we're going to talk about now it's a cool looking gun.
Yeah,
it's a very cool looking gun. Breaking news, of course, always great on podcasts, but the world now knows by the time you listen to this that Kyle Rittenhouse up in Kenosha was found not guilty on all charges. A huge victory for white privilege, Brad. It's still alive in America and it's still thriving.
Yeah. I mean, look, obviously the prosecution was, how should we say, less than stellar in this case. I'll just say that. And the judge, even less than stellar than being less than stellar. But that being said, it's a decision. It's been made. And so what happens, because Britt, I'm not about the past. I'm about the future, as you
looking forward.
Right. And, the signal is sent, you're right, by this verdict. All 5 charges, I think, were, of course, found to be not guilty. I'll put it this way. If you're a hero, you're the kind of person that runs towards the danger, right? That's what they say about heroes in war.
Right.
If you're a coward, what do? You hide under a rock or you run the other way.
Right.
All right. If you're an idiot, you become part of the danger, right? You help create
the
danger.
That's correct.
That you then claim enables you to say you were killing people in self-defense of the very danger that you created. And our legal system is not really good at ferreting out things beyond black and white. And black and white on self-defense, and certainly in Wisconsin law, allowed this kid.
I think that's what the law actually says in Wisconsin. If you create the danger, you lose the self-defense shield.
Right.
But unfortunately, the judge in this case. By the way, I owe Mike Krzyzewski a massive apology. All of those years I talked about how the referees were giving Duke all the calls. They're fucking pikers compared to this judge in this trial. Right. This guy was so on the side of Kyle Rittenhouse and the defense. It's unreal.
I hear you. But in this case, I can't believe that this is all over, completely for this guy, because maybe it is. Didn't they say the other day that particular weapon in Wisconsin is not illegal for someone underage to be? I mean, they came up with more bullshit.
Bullshit. Yeah.
To say that the fact that he was underage and crossed state lines to do what he did, that's a non-mitigating factor that's irrelevant. Don't bring that up. You're not allowed to tell the jury that, because that doesn't mean anything. I mean, all right, what's that commercial? Nothing means everything. Well, everything means nothing.
Yeah.
And by the way, the drug is Skyrizi for
Skyrizi.
Right. Yeah, nothing is everything.
What is the oldie song that's attached to that drug?
No, that's their own single. That's one of those. Their own. Nothing is everything.
Oh, I love that.
You've heard it a
one.
million times.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I guess that's what most of us who are sitting there saying. That, you mean he's guilty of nothing? He didn't do anything wrong? Well, the law says he didn't do anything wrong. Morally, you may think that I know that, but what I think, you maybe think that if he wasn't a punk ass white kid like that and was a black guy, that there's no way that he would have gotten all the breaks and all the considerations.
A black guy. Let me just try to do the mental exercise. Right. A black guy charging into a riot situation or a protest situation, then scurrying away and then shooting. And I'll just say it, even two black guys shooting them dead. And in your mind, there's no way he gets away with that. There's no way that a black guy gets acquitted.
I didn't check this yet. Was it an all white jury or was the one black person?
He was like an alternate or something, wasn't he? Wasn't he like?
Well, no. So you don't know the answer to the question, no, because there were 18. They were going to draw 12 out of a hat.
Yeah.
One of the 18 was black, so I don't know whether one of the 18 made it into the 12. You can get out your calculator for what the odds were on that. But
sure.
Anyway, try this on the turnaround. If it was a black guy on trial in Kenosha, Wisconsin, for shooting two black guys, would he have gotten a jury of all blacks to judge? No.
Well, so, and if he would have had a black judge shouting down, the prosecution in such a manner, you can't. It's not possible. Right. That's not even a possible situation.
I hate to boil this all down to race, but you can't look the other way on this now. But what you have to remember, what you're going to hearing, and I just saw a piece. Another reporter just quit the New York Times, and she claims that back when this all happened, that the Times spiked a story that she had written about the violence and the supposed justification that Rittenhouse might have used when he saw what was happening in that city to go there. So this is another, this is the kind of person that ends up, of course, on Fox News as a hero, speaking against the New York Times for being politically correct and censoring the truth so that we would feel more empathy now for Kyle Rittenhouse, because Kyle he didn't even have to read that New York Times story that never was published, right? He knew he had to go there to protect businesses and things from the Black Lives Matter hooligans and thugs. So get ready for another right-wing ex-New York Times hero, along with that pain in the ass Barry Weiss, who just, boy, am I tired of her. Holy Jesus, God almighty. If you don't know who she is, you're better off.
I'm hoping that Kyle Rittenhouse takes Matt Gaetz up on that offer and he starts working for him and he starts using that AR-15 to start doing some trafficking of women down in Florida. So hopefully that'll be a lucrative career for him going forward. It'll be something very important for all of us.
Right. So
he's probably got an agent now. That's fucked up to think that the guy's got an agent. What are we going to pick from here? What sort of great thing are we going to do here? We got the podcast. We're going to do what are we going to do as far as Kyle Rittenhouse goes? Because again, the speaking part at the Republican convention. That's all but going to happen, right? He's going to have like a prime time speaking part at the Republican convention. I don't care. I know it's years away, but just go ahead and lock it down. He's going to be the 8:30, 9 o'clock slot for everybody to see.
Right. I got an answer to you. Ready? From Southern guy. Ready?
Yeah.
Liberal. So it was okay that all those punks down in Florida, that kid was all over the TV after the shooting at that school. You're okay with that, right?
David Hogg, the guy who was the victim.
He cheated his way into Harvard by saying, "Oh, I was at that school where they shot people." You were okay with that, but this kid, this victim, this man who was defending himself against the thugs and the
Yeah.
criminals in Wisconsin. You can't stand that. What do you think? How was that?
Again, I always want him to go all out. I want the picture of him having the lunch with Donald Trump with the Diet Coke right there at his side with the stupid fake orange grin on his face, putting his arm around stupid ass Kyle Rittenhouse, who he couldn't give two shits about. But I always want him to go full on. I want him to go full on with this shit and carry it all the way. If this guy is your new hero, then so be it. And eventually just do all of that shit.
Tonight it's Hannity and Kyle.
Followed
by Laura and Kyle, preceded by Tucker and Kyle. Okay,
it's our exclusive interview, which is going to be on all the other shows.
I saw a story earlier this morning. I know you must know about it by now. That Joe Biden temporarily transferred power, I think, for an hour and a half to Kamala Harris because he got a colonoscopy, and you get put under, you get the anesthesia. So he temporarily transferred the powers of presidency to Kamala Harris, and now has grabbed them back. Thank God. Okay.
Did the stock market go down 1,000 points, 2,000 points,
no,
3,000
2,000 points?
No, when she was in charge in that time, that brief period of time.
Here's my interest in the story, okay? Because I believe we've had several different versions of this. I think the latest one was from Stephanie Grisham, the White House press secretary who wrote the book, who never held press conferences on the orders of Trump. Okay, not her.
I listened to her book, and I thought it was pretty good. It was pretty decent.
Right. And she says that at least one of those times where Trump disappeared and it was rumored that he was at Walter Reed, that he underwent a colonoscopy, but kept it secret. Secret. So that he wouldn't have to turn over the power of the presidency temporarily to Mike Pence. And then there's a second version of, yes, he underwent the colonoscopy, but he refused to get the anesthesia so that he would be conscious, so he wouldn't have to turn over the powers of the president.
What a stud. What a man. Just sucking up the pain.
But this, my take on this is, this fuck is so insecure. No, he is so insecure that he thinks everybody sucks and is as conspiratorial and devious as he is. Because if he were the vice president to someone and had temporarily gotten the powers of the presidency when the president did this, he would somehow in 5 minutes organize a coup and have that president killed or never to be seen again. So he must have thought that Mike Pence could not be trusted, right? Mm-hmm. With the powers of the presidency, even for 45 minutes or an hour and a half, while Trump underwent. And by the way,
I believe they call that projection. I think that's called projection.
But remember, that every president before that you know of had no problem doing it. Bush did it with Cheney,
of course.
They've all done it. Yeah. They've all done it. I mean, I'm just guessing that when Ronald Reagan had no choice, right? That he was shot.
Well, there was a bit of a flub there, and then we had somebody who claimed that they were in power who was not in power. But yes, eventually it did get done. But Alexander Haig grabbed the mantle, thinking that he could be the guy.
Right. But I just find that these little stories are the ones that are most illustrative of the paranoia and the sickness that is Trump. I mean, as if you can top over the last 48 hours, him immediately, of course, declaring his undying love and support for Paul Gosar, the threatener of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Joe Biden. And why wouldn't Donald Trump support them? Of course he supported them. We know. And we need to spend a half hour answering back the troll, right? No, we're not going to, but we get the point. We get the point. But I think, and the Democrats, the skies look a lot brighter today than they certainly did a week ago.
Do they?
I think they do, because looks like they're going to get, part 2 passed one way or the other. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be, I know it's not going to be much. It's only going to be like $2 trillion. Not much money at all. No, but anyway, it'll be big money. And I know that Democrats realize that they can't run against Trump in 2022, defending congressional seats and running in states where there's a Senate race, and local people can't run that way. But they can't do that exclusively, but you can remind people of it. You can remind people of it. And I think that there is a way to at least let people know that in every race, from assistant to the dog catcher, not just dog catcher, but assistant to the dog catcher, all the way up through the most important Senate seats in the country, that when you vote Republican, you really are voting for the reinstitution and the re-elevation of Marjorie Taylor Greene and Paul Gosar to congressional positions of power, because that's the promise that's been made by Kevin McCarthy, that if he does become Speaker of the House, that these two poor put upon people who lost their positions on congressional committees because those evil Democrats said, you can't do that if you threaten the president and one of our members, AOC, that you should be able to somehow connect everybody running with those three people: Trump, Gosar, and Marjorie Taylor Greene, and maybe a few others that we don't have to name them, you know who they are. But and maybe that's a subtext. You can't just run on against those people. But if you're going to have an entire party still in total fealty to Trump, it's nice to remind them what that was all about. What was your life like? How was life in America back then? How good was it? Blah,
It's
blah,
forgotten.
blah.
It's forgotten how miserable things were last year.
Right.
There were no supply chain issues last year. We couldn't get toilet paper. That never happened. You couldn't get paper towels. That never happened. You couldn't get none of that shit ever happened, Brad. It didn't exist. People weren't getting laid off left and right. That never happened. None of that shit ever happened. All that matters now is that Joe Biden's fucking up everything that he touches. Now, in a world where sensibility and logic reign supreme, and where people voted for their own self-interest, the Democrats should be able to go, this asshole, Kevin McCarthy, for no reason whatsoever, spoke and filibustered, even though they don't have filibusters in the House of Representatives, but I don't think he got the memo. And what was he filibustering, and what was he trying to prevent? He was trying to prevent people from getting free pre-K, free child care, trying to get people from getting that. He was trying to filibuster and trying to keep people from getting streets repaired and bridges built. That's what the Democrats should be able to campaign on. And he did this for 8 hours for absolutely no reason. Really, the audience was the Republican Party, because he just wants them to see how behind them that he is, and he wants to be your speaker next year. That's what they should be able to campaign.
Well, I'm not taking the bait on that one, because I don't think you're correct. I think you're giving him too much credit to think that he was actually speaking.
That's what he was trying to do, Brad. That's what he was trying to. That's what he's trying to do.
No, he was trying to do two things. He was trying to make sure that Donald Trump still liked him. He wants Donald Trump to still, and number two, he wants to make sure everybody will make him the Speaker of the House in case he. That's all he cared about.
Nonetheless, the campaign commercial.
He knows he had no power.
Of course, but the campaign commercials could go out. This guy is against you and helping families and getting roads built, and that would work. But Kevin McCarthy has been handed this fantastic gift, and if he doesn't fuck it up, the Republicans are going to roll next year. And it's called the Parents' Bill of Rights. That's all they have to say. That's all that they have to put forward. It doesn't even have to have any content in it, Brad. Just say the Parents' Bill of Rights. We're going to pass the Parents' Bill of Rights, and we're done. That's Terry McAuliffe's shit gift to the world. He has given this, and now the Republicans shall gift wrap it, put it forward, and just say Parents' Bill of Rights until you are sick of it next year, and the Republicans will roll. And even if you are reminded, oh, this asshole didn't want bridges to get repaired, and he didn't want your kids to have, care. So that doesn't matter. All you have to say is Parents' Bill of Rights. Parents' Bill of Rights. It's going to be the annoying catchphrase of 2022. There's no question about it.
Stop. Can you please tell me and folks listening to us or watching us what that actually is? What because I thought I had rights.
I'm happy to tell you.
I thought I had rights as a parent for the most part, and I cannot imagine that this would be just a clever focus group tested name. that's right up there with death panels and a death tax and all these kind of things that Republicans use to frame wedge issues that are easily demagogued and voted upon and stimulate Republican right-wing drooling morons to go to the polls, because I have rights as parents, and I can't imagine that this would be the cover for, yes, every parent has the right to go through every book and every line of every book and tell
you're only
every
beginning
teacher in every school.
You're only beginning.
That can't possibly be what that is it?
If I'm a complete asshole and I join the Republican Party, this is plank number 1 in the Parents' Bill of Rights. No critical race theory ever taught anywhere in this country for any reason whatsoever. And if you do, you're getting thrown in jail, even though it's not being taught anyway. And nobody really knows what it is. Just say it. Just say it. That's rule number 1. Rule number 2 is, yes, we are going to make sure that your kid can never read the word fuck or have a book that depicts 2 people fucking in their library. Can't do it. Can't have it. And if the book makes white people feel bad about themselves, that thing's got to go too. That's number 2. Number 3, I don't know about this transgender thing being taught as being normal. We have to stop that immediately. That's got to get the fuck out of the schools. Bye, bye, bye. Get out of here. And all this gay stuff you guys been doing, bad news. Not going to do it. And all of the stuff about having diversity. Oh, diversity. No, bye. Diversity is dead. It's gone. We're not going to teach it in the schools. Get the fuck out. None of that. Those are the 4 major planks that you would write in a Parents' Bill of Rights that will restore the Republican Party to power in the House of Representatives and the United States Senate in 2022.
Well,
those 4 things right there.
They left something out.
Yes.
Bring back school segregation.
You got to do that. Well, prayer in school.
Board of Education. Look at Roe versus Wade, not settled law. Brown versus Board of Education, not settled law. Right? Marbury versus Madison, not settled law.
I always like to bring up the greatest hits. We're going to bring prayer back to school. We're going to have English as the official language of the United States of America, and we're going to have some teachers that are going to be armed. Those are like separate planks, but those big four, all you got to do is say it over and over again, and you will win back the House.
I'm glad that you have set the table today. Because let's leave the place setting there, and we can come back to that table, I think, a lot and probably dine on this, because I have absolutely no reason to believe you're not 100% correct that this is going to be one of the legs of the stool of idiocy that they're going to run on in 2022. Now, when I got home Thursday night, I must have been about 3 hours into the Kevin, I'm not really Joe McCarthy speech that he was giving in Washington. On and on he went. And I thought, of course, probably 95% of what he's saying is bullshit. And when I say bullshit, I mean he was distorting and twisting and using, quote, facts that everyone supposedly knows that I know he's lying about. And I thought, how long will it take for me to fact check him on something that he's saying? And within about the first 20 seconds, I heard him, because remember, when you're up there for 8 hours, you got to hit every base. You got to hit every seat in the stadium. You got to come up with every topic you can think of. And you got to frame it so that everything that the Democrats have ever done, ever, going back to ancient Greece, if they were Democrats back then, they were bad. And as always, several times, he played the game of Republican good, Democrat bad, not relevant to the fact, or not remembering, or intentionally misremembering that they switched sides in 1964
exactly
on race. And for instance, he said, as if this was supposed to impress you, there's only one black person in the Congress who's been a senator and a congressman, and he's a Republican, Tim Scott. In other words, he's the only one that was right. And the only black person who's done that. And I looked up and I said, wait a minute. So unless you've been in both houses and you're black, you're nothing. Because
Doesn't
of course,
count.
I believe there are 59 members of the House of Representatives who are black. 57 are Democrats. Okay,
Mhm.
so and of course in the Senate, there's Tim Scott, there's Cory Booker, there's Raphael Warnock. So already he's only one of three. So only 1/3. But Kevin McCarthy stands and tries to paint the fact that Tim Scott was in both houses as some kind of thing. And these are just little burnishments, little buffs around the edge
Right.
of bullshit. And then I heard him say, and the Democrats voted to kill off Israel's Iron Dome protection, to take away their missile capability. I don't recall that. I don't recall. So, of course, that's what Mr. Google is there for, right?
Sure.
Mr. Google will blow stuff up like that in about 3 seconds. And so the answer is like 2 years ago, it was up for a vote. Yes, some Democrats, AOC, Ilhan Omar, voted against it. But guess what? It passed, and Israel has their protection, and they still do.
But they got their moment. There's a video of her supposedly wiping away tears because she lost the vote, and that's what's going to rule the day.
Kevin McCarthy would have you believe that the Democrats took away.
No, they didn't do it.
And so it's just on and on and on. It went, and I go, oh my God. So, of course, it didn't stop the Democrats from finally passing this piece of legislation on Friday, and I guess the Joe and Kirsten show is still playing somewhere. Hopefully they'll resolve it, and the legislation will pass, and on we will go. But hey, I've got a greatest hits. I got a greatest hits montage of McCarthy.
Good.
It's only a minute long. Here he is, and I labeled it. Look what I did. I labeled it like this. People watching. It says Kevin McCarthy bloviating.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Good. I'm good. All right, so here it is. There it is.
I want to go back to when we were respected around the world. I want to go back to when we didn't have North Korea testing nuclear weapons. I want to go back to when China wasn't flying over Taiwan every day. This day, there's only one black American elected to Congress and to the Senate.
Oh, I forgot where I'd come up with this idea to fact check it. Here he is saying it. Yeah, there it is.
Tim Scott. Madam Speaker, I know your body knows how to impeach. You've done it twice.
Ha ha! Oh, what? You should be laughing. That one's pretty funny.
Oh yeah, it's hilarious. What was that around? What was it around 5:15 this morning?
That one was. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm laughing my ass off at 5:45.
There's two families that grow 50% of all the carrots in the country.
Oh, Jesus.
You ever eaten one of these baby carrots?
Yeah.
I'll lead you in a little secret. There's no such thing. They're just big carrots. They chop them. They charge you more and you buy them.
What's the size of your dick?
Is that funny?
That's not really true, is it?
No, of course it is. They can't grow tiny carrots. But wait a minute. You know what?
Check him.
You know what they also can't do? You know what? Baby Swiss. That's when they murder baby Swiss cheeses. And so that's right. Isn't it the same thing?
Stop the murder of baby Swiss cheese.
You gotta laugh.
I have a friend who serves in the Senate. Right before COVID, he was on a Codell.
You don't have a friend.
Senators. And he was sitting and having a communication. Maybe you've experienced this as well. With a military general in the Chinese Communist Army. You know what that general said to him?
Yeah.
America, you're weak.
Oh, God.
You're weak, America.
That's new.
You're weak because you believe in God and you take fentanyl.
Game, set, match on that one, huh?
I don't know about that first one, but he's got a point with that second.
Yeah.
His cadence is terrible. Like did you see the picture of the rogues gallery of assholes that was gathered behind him to cheer him on?
I mean, I did watch enough of it. I saw who was kind of
stupid ass Madison Cawthorn was stage right or stage left, I guess it was, right over there sitting, and he's acting like he's paying attention, but he's watching TikToks and shit. You can just see he's down looking at he's fucking watching TikToks because this guy's boring the shit out of the world, right? It was disgusting. The whole thing was horrible, and I don't know what he was trying to prove, but I guess this scores him points, like you said, among the Trump coalition and Donald Trump himself.
Yeah.
I guess this is what he does now.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. You got anything else? I got something else if you want.
No, go ahead. Throw it on out.
All right. I titled this one, "If You're Going After the King, You Better Darn Well Kill the King."
Uh-oh.
All right. This is the war, not really a war. It's a battle between the conscience of the NBA, Enes Kanter, and LeBron James.
Yeah.
Now, as you know, Enes Kanter is from Turkey, right?
Yeah. Turkish
Escaped
guy.
from there, left there. It's a dictatorship. Of course, it's one of Trump's favorite leaders now these days, right? Ahmet Erdogan, naturally.
Right.
And Enes Kanter is the only guy in the NBA that you hear speaking, and it's not a partisan thing. I've seen him everywhere. He's crossed all the cable networks. No monopoly on it. That we're playing footsie with China. We're playing footsie with business on this, and LeBron James is going all in even more than ever with Nike. And of course, Nike has issues that they try to resolve with China by bowing down to them.
What has triggered this story is that they're renaming the arena in LA to the Crypto.com Arena, which is mostly Chinese money. And that's going to take place, I think December 25th is when it transfers over from the Staples Center to Crypto.com Arena. Side note, the Matt Damon commercials you may or may not have seen for Crypto.com on television, he has no fucking idea what he's advertising for. They just came up with a shit ton of money and threw it at him. He doesn't know what this shit is. He's clueless about this stuff. But they just said, here's a big fat check. And he's like, okay. And went for it.
All right. Cantor's tweet, "Money over morals for the king. Sad and disgusting how these athletes pretend they care about social justice. They really do shut up and dribble when Big Boss," and they show a Chinese flag emoji there, "says so. Did you educate yourself about the slave labor that made your shoes, or that is not part of your research?" I'll say this. Enes Kanter is 100% right. He is right. You know what? And he would have been right 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago when Michael Jordan started selling shoes with his name on it. We knew it then. And I don't have a resolution to this.
I'm not saying the guy's wrong, and I think he's right about it.
But
when we talk about Chinese slavery and Chinese slave labor, was he tweeting from an iPhone? Because there's a certain amount of that's involved in the construction of all that stuff too. There's a lot of technology that's over there as well that kind of gets grouped. You have to. There's a level of comfort.
Good. What aboutism there? Defending it by playing.
I'm not defending it. I'm not defending it. It's just it's interesting the moral purity line that we draw there. The shoes are bad, but the phone's okay. I mean, it's odd because we know these stories about the factories in China where they would put up like the netting outside because people were hurtling themselves out of the windows to manufacture iPhones. Are you denying that those stories happen?
They fixed that. They fixed that, and the nets are a lot better now. Okay, the nets are really, really good. Have you?
I saw them the other night, and they suck.
You remember there used to be this thing called the circus? Okay, think about that. We now talk about the circus as
there's no Ringling Brothers. There's a whole generation has no idea what Ringling Brothers is.
Yeah, now they're gonna have to watch that stupid movie with Charlton Heston. What the fuck was Greatest Show on Earth?
Greatest Show on Earth, yes.
Yeah. Look. This has been going on forever. Certainly since, hey, you want to blame the original sinner here? It would be Nixon and Kissinger because they opened up China. Okay. And so we started doing business with them and found out that they really are really good workers for these kinds of jobs. And it's never stopped.
And they don't want to be paid a lot of money. And then all of a sudden, all of a sudden things happen and maybe they do want to be paid a lot of money. But yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that he makes a great point, but we as a society have become certainly comfortable with, this underwear that I have is pretty comfortable. I know that probably some kid was whipped to death making it and made 3 cents an hour, but shit, the underwear really, it's got a pouch and everything.
Enes has offered to tour the Chinese slave labor camps with LeBron James, Michael Jordan, and Phil Knight, the Nike founder guy.
Yeah.
How about I book plane tickets for us and let's fly to China together? We can try to visit these slave labor camps and you can see it with your own eyes. Well, there's a problem with that. They don't want to see it with their own eyes. Who wants to see it? Of course. Anyway, it's worth noting. It's worth noting because we often talk about the NBA being a little bit ahead, certainly of the NFL, for instance, in their approach to social justice issues and being a little bit more in touch with what younger folks think about politically. But then you see this and you go, guess what? Yeah, this is they're all the same kind of thing. And
everyone has been trying.
Everyone it all, and it always has been.
Look, everyone has been trying to expand into the Chinese market, whether it's
the NBA did it better than everybody else.
But they're very nervous. Again, they're very nervous about people like Enos Kanter saying things because that government in China, as it turns out, doesn't take criticism very well.
And
they're not real happy.
That's why you cannot see a Boston Celtics game in China now. They're all banned.
There you go.
They're all banned.
I wish. How did they get on that? Sign me up for that. Whatever they did to avoid Boston Celtics games, let that happen. Speaking of sports,
wait, are you hoping there's something that a Dallas Cowboy will do?
Oh, please.
If they don't watch football much in China,
let one of you son of a bitches become woke, please. Deep in the heart of Texas, please.
By the way, something here.
Yeah, Raiders against the Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day. That's your 4:30 game, so that'll be fun. Yeah, I'm interested to watch.
I like that.
Speaking of former Raiders, he was a Raider for 5 seconds.
Oh my God, no!
Antonio Brown, who has become Tom Brady's favorite receiver, accused of obtaining a fake COVID vaccination card, prompting an NFL review. The NFL very serious about ramping up some of these protocols later in the season, Brad. And he apparently, Antonio Brown, thought it would be a good idea to get a fake COVID vaccination card. Again, on the list of moral problems that Antonio Brown has, this is about 796th, but still fairly stupid and a good laughing point story for us.
I don't think it's funny at all. I think he's an asshole.
Yeah, he's an asshole.
And again, we've mentioned this before. It takes so much more effort, it seems, to fake being vaccinated than to get vaccinated for real. Because you know what? When you get vaccinated for real, not only do you feel better about yourself and you realize that you're largely protected, certainly from the most devastating consequences of COVID, should you get it. But they give you the card. You don't have to fake it. You got it. You own it.
Hard. It's not.
You know what hard. I did? You're not supposed to laminate them, of course.
Correct, because you have to update it. Yeah.
But I did use Scotch Magic tape, which
How about you?
One of the greatest inventions in the history of the world. I think you have to acknowledge that.
Made in China.
You can still, you don't know that. No, it is. It's made by little elves in Minnesota. You know that. You liar.
It's made out of the fetuses of baby Swiss cheese that have been murdered, and you are not owning up to it. And I don't understand how you can even live with yourself like this.
You know, that's one of the more idiotic rumors that people were using as an excuse. They were saying that the vaccines were made somehow.
Oh, wait a minute.
From aborted fetus.
Yeah, there was a line like a million years. Even the Vatican was like calling bullshit on that and telling Catholics it's okay. You're not using fetus. It's fine. But the latest thing was this thing with Fauci and the Beagles. Are you familiar with this?
Wait a minute. Didn't Jimi Hendrix open for them?
Yeah.
In the Beatles?
No,
in 64 in Los Angeles?
No, the Beagles backed up Linda Ronstadt many years ago. Anthony Fauci was swamped by so many angry messages and threats that in late October, his assistant quit answering the phone for 2 weeks. Much of the onslaught stemmed from a viral and false claim that the agency Fauci leads, listen up, Brad, the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, had funded a medical experiment in which beagles were trapped in mesh cages filled with diseased sandflies. According to the NIH officials, the outrage was supercharged by a bipartisan letter signed by 24 members of Congress that questioned the agency's funding of medical research on dogs. Of course,
stop. Yeah. First of all, obviously the problem with this was that they weren't pit bulls. Okay,
that's correct.
Everybody hates it, but
nobody gives a shit about a pit bull. Yeah, you put sandflies on.
So, so the story was bullshit, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But let's just say it was true. Let's just say it was true. if you want to play the game of what kind of miraculous medical research has been done that you or I or our relatives have benefited by, will benefit by, or are benefiting by, where animals were used in the research, it's a lot. We know it. We know it's true. Now, would you rather that we experiment on human beings? Hitler did that. He was cool with those kind of medical experiments. And no, I don't like the idea of a dog being subjected to. But you know what? You got to weigh what this is all about.
But this is again. But this is
so idiotic. And first
these are conservatives using
true,
this as a.
But even if it was true, I wouldn't give a shit. How about
these were conservatives using this as a cudgel against Fauci, and these are the same conservatives that bitch about PETA 6 ways till Sunday. And this is a group that's 100 steps to the left of PETA, but all of a sudden, oh, we love you. Oh, you've got something against Fauci? You're goddamn, we love you.
Wait a minute. Let me get this straight. So these folks, they hate people for the ethical treatment of animals.
Yes.
Let's just name a species of owl or fish that's endangered, and a whole species. And so PETA, makes a big deal of it.
Yeah, they do.
Get made fun of, right?
Yeah, PETA sucks. They don't want us to eat. They don't want us to eat Slim Jims. Fuck PETA.
You remember what Limbaugh used to call PETA, right?
People eating tasty
animals. Okay, so that was okay. That was okay to trash them for that. But this, which by any measure, if something similar to it is being done and has been done, that's been used to develop life-saving drugs or therapies, no, we can't do that. We just can't do that. Can you experiment on dolls that you buy in wooden doll? No, you can't do it. You need something living, because especially dogs, they're very close to human beings for their reaction to a lot of things. So you use dogs. And by the way, and play this one. Do all these people, do they go to the animal shelter and save dogs?
Oh God, it's constantly. There's always they're canceling this shit out. Oh, it's unbelievable. Sure not only does Joe Biden not want your child to celebrate Christmas, he doesn't want you to say Merry Christmas. He's got Fauci out here trying to kill Snoopy. That's what's going on. That's what's happening here in America. Everybody knows it. He's trying to murder Snoopy.
Yeah.
This is our last tidbit here, as we're not out of the woods. Part 5 million. Eastern Europe's in kind of a mess right now, and Austria is in full lockdown because COVID is surging and killing a lot of people. So some people are wondering if this is going to be the future of the United States going into the winter. By the way, that incompetent fool Joe Biden has gotten the vaccine into millions upon millions of children just this week. I don't know if you know that. I don't know if you heard that. I don't know if that made the headlines.
I don't know if that 10% of kids in that age group were already vaccinated.
In a fucking week. Oh my God, what an incompetent fool. Impeach now. I mean, Jesus Christ. It's unbelievable. Yes. Again, I don't know if I certainly hope at some point in time people take this seriously. Where we live, they have gotten rid of the mask mandate. I hope it will stay in place at the grocery stores and various restaurants and stuff.
You know what, Britt? I think that they keep backing down at the wrong time. We make the same mistake over and over.
I agree with you.
Over again. Stop doing that, because every time you say, "Oh, well, it's okay, you don't have to wear masks except in the most difficult situation," whatever they're doing.
Yep.
Now the signal is being sent. All clear. Have fun. And since there are still a lot of unvaccinated people who are proud of it, that are running around, who are primarily responsible for spreading coronavirus, and who are primarily the people who end up in hospitals. And we still have a lot of people in hospitals all across this country. I just saw the readout from today where we are. I think there are 45 in Guilford County. Oh, it's only 45. Really? Only 4? That's not a lot. That's not a lot. What does it have to be 500 for you?
I want you to go to the hospitals here in Guilford County. I want you to say, "Hey, you people just can't deal with 45 sick people. What the fuck's wrong with you?" Right. These folks have been stretched paper thin for a year and a half now.
But, Britt, I'm afraid that we've passed the point of no return.
It's true.
Not just because of things like this that you just mentioned, but because there are therapies and drugs that are being developed by the large drug manufacturers that
That's right.
help with the treatment of it. So that's giving cover to and excuses for people who haven't gotten vaccinated say, I'm never getting vaccinated. And then you have well, I had COVID, I have natural immunity, and it's better than yours. And it's not, but you can't talk to them. You cannot talk to them because they've seen a study that says natural immunity is so much better.
So much better.
It is not.
No.
And even if you say to them, okay, you have fantastic natural immunity, but just consider for a moment that it might not last forever, and that when you get a shot, a boost, even if you're unvaccinated and this is your first shot, you don't probably even have to get a second shot. It will increase your invulnerability tremendously. It does not matter that you say that. And I say this because I just got off the phone with a relative who is actually older than I am and has very, very adult children, neither of whom are vaccinated. And she's beside herself. But she says, there's just nothing I can do. We cannot talk. We can't even bring up the subject with them now. We can't do it. And this is what's out there. I mean, I'm thankful that I don't have to have that discussion with anybody that I am directly related to. Not a one of them.
Yeah.
Of course, that's because we disowned 3 or 4. Talk about
They've long since shunned you. Sure.
Yeah, we got rid of them. So, wow.
Well, that's all I have.
Yeah. We've covered every possible every possible.
So what time are you coming over for the Rittenhouse victory party tonight?
All right, this is my question. You know, there are 500 National Guard troops on duty in Kenosha, Wisconsin. So the question is, are those troops more likely to be engaged tonight because he was acquitted, or would they have been more likely to be engaged tonight had he been convicted? You've got 5 seconds, sir. Go.
I can't answer that question. I'm just telling you, white privilege reigns supreme.
See you, white boy.
Enjoy your weekend.